You check your phone one last time. The blue glow illuminates your face for a moment, then dims, fades, and with it, so does the 21st century. The darkness settles around you like a heavy velvet curtain. Now, open your eyes. Not fully, just enough to see the flicker of candlelight dancing on old parchment. The flame wavers, casting shadows that seem to breathe on their own. The smell of warm wax and aged wood fills the room. There's ink here too. Iron and oak gall, sharp and slightly sour. A quiet scratch, as a quill dips and drags across paper. You're sitting at a tavern table. The wood is worn smooth by countless elbows, sticky with spilled ale, carved with initials of people long forgotten. Your fingers trace the grooves as you lean forward, squinting at the contract before you. A voice, your voice, tries to read the writing on the page for the swift and silent elimination of Sir Gregory the tailor, tall. You squint harder. The candlelight isn't helping. The ink has smudged, a black puddle where crucial information should be. The name is a mess. Someone, possibly you, definitely you, rested their elbow in the wet wax seal. There's still a bit of red wax on your sleeve. You pause. The man beside you, hooded, serious, very assassiny, leans over. He smells like leather and danger and, oddly, lavender. His breath disturbs the candle flame. Is it the tall one? Or the tailor? His voice is gravel that's been gargling other, smaller gravel. You look at him and without missing a beat, you say, yes? He nods solemnly. Understood. Perfect. He doesn't understand either. A coin purse slides across the table with a soft clink. It's heavier than you expected. The coins inside whisper secrets to each other, promises of food, shelter, and possibly a new pair of boots that don't squelch when you walk. The contract is sealed, messy or not. You lean back. The chair creaks a protest that sounds suspiciously like doubt. You exhale and let a small laugh escape. It echoes in your chest, a bubble of absurdity rising up. What could possibly go wrong? The hooded man is already gone. Assassins don't really do goodbyes, or clarity, or apparently readable handwriting. Outside, the moon waits like a patient friend. Through the warped glass window, you can see it hanging there, full, bright, and somehow amused. Somewhere, a rooster sleeps far too early, probably drunk on fermented grain. A cat yowls in an alley, either in love or mortal combat. In medieval times, it's hard to tell the difference, and you are about to embark on a journey where nothing goes quite according to plan. The candle flickers, wax drips. Time moves differently here, thick and honeyed, like mead sliding down your throat. Take a deep breath in, let your shoulders drop, and out. Feel the weight of this ridiculous moment settle into your bones. Your training begins. Well, it began years ago, but you slept through most of it. Your mission, however, that starts now. We begin your training in the usual place, a crumbling barn at the edge of a muddy village, where dreams go to slip and fall, and where the local chickens have learned to dodge flying weaponry. The moon filters through a thatched roof that's more hole than thatch at this point. Silver light puddles on the dirt floor like spilled milk. Somewhere, an owl watches with mild concern. It's seen many apprentices. Most don't last the week. Your mentor, Master Thorn, a man who hasn't smiled in 12 years, stands tall and unimpressed. His face could have been carved from disappointment itself. The scar running down his left cheek suggests someone once tried to make him smile with a blade. It didn't work. "Tonight," he says, his voice like gravel being crushed by other, angrier gravel. "We see if you have what it takes. You've been here 3 days. So far, you've demonstrated a remarkable ability to trip over shadows, sneeze during stealth exercises, and somehow set water on fire. That last one," Master Thorn admitted privately, "was actually impressive." "Throw," he says, pointing to the wooden post. The post stands 20 paces away. In the moonlight, someone has painted a crude human figure on it. The paint job suggests the artist had strong feelings about anatomy, but weak understanding of it. The head is where the stomach should be. You try not to think about it. You lift your dagger. It's a good dagger. Balanced, sharp, with a leather grip worn smooth by countless hands. Hands more competent than yours, presumably. The metal catches the moonlight and winks at you. You choose to take this as encouragement. You squint. You aim. Your tongue pokes out slightly, the way it does when you're concentrating. Master Thorn's eye twitches. He's told you 17 times that assassins don't stick their tongues out. Tongues are for tasting poison and staying inside mouths. You throw. The dagger sails through the air with surprising grace. It spins exactly 3.5 times. The trajectory is perfect. The force is ideal. For one beautiful moment, you think you've done it. The dagger veers left, very left, and lands with a quiet thunk, not in the target, but in Master Thorn's boot. Not through it, thankfully, just in it, firmly stuck. The blade has slipped perfectly between his big toe and the next one, pinning the leather to the wooden platform he's standing on. He looks down, then at you, then down again. The barn has never been quieter. Even the mice hold their breath. A bat in the rafters actually falls asleep mid-flight and crashes softly into a hay bale. There is a long pause, the kind of pause that makes you reconsider your life choices. The kind of pause that stretches like taffy made of pure awkwardness. Finally, he grunts. Technically, it did hit something standing still. You smile proudly. He does not. "I was aiming for your other boot," you offer helpfully. His eye twitches again. It's developing quite the rhythm. "Next," he sighs, bending down to work the dagger free. It takes 3 tries. On the third, he mutters something in Old Saxon that you're pretty sure isn't a blessing. He limps slightly toward the climbing rope. You follow, trying to look appropriately remorseful. You're not sure you succeed. Your face has always been terrible at lying. Last week, you tried to look innocent after accidentally releasing all the messenger pigeons. Your expression apparently screamed guilty of bird crimes. The rope hangs from the central beam like a hanged man's regret. It's thick, frayed, and has seen better decades. Bits of it are more memory than hemp at this point. Climb, Master Thorn commands. Reach the beam, touch it, descend. Try not to die. You approach the frayed, scratchy rope with the enthusiasm of a sleepy goat approaching a bath. The rope feels like it's made of pure itch. Your palms are already protesting. You grip it, feet planted, and begin to climb. 1 foot up. The rope swings 2 feet. Your arms remind you that you skipped conditioning to watch clouds yesterday. 3 feet. You're doing it. You're actually... Snap. The rope gives way with a sound like the world's saddest harp. For a moment, you hang in the air, still gripping the now detached rope, looking very much like a confused flying squirrel who's forgotten how wings work. Physics remembers you exist. You flail briefly. Your arms make circular motions that would be impressive if they served any purpose. They don't. And then you land with a glorious foof in a bale of straw, head first. The impact is soft but comprehensive. Straw goes places straw should never go. Up your nose, in your ears, somehow, impossibly, between your teeth. You've become one with the hay. You are hay. Hay is you. You emerge looking like a thatched roof with legs. A piece of straw sticks straight up from your head like a unicorn horn made of poor decisions. Master Thorn stands over you, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Though if you had to guess, you'd say it reads something like, "Why me?" in several languages. He exhales slowly through his nose. It's the exhale of a man reconsidering his career choices. The exhale of someone who could have been a baker, but no, he had to follow his dreams. Talent for chaos, he mutters, is still talent. The barn owl hoots softly, almost in agreement, or possibly in mockery. With owls it's hard to tell. You spit out straw and raise a thumb from beneath the hay. A optimistic gesture, considering. Still alive, you say cheerfully. Your voice is muffled by agricultural products. He grunts. That's half the job. What's the other half? Staying alive quietly. You consider this while pulling straw from your left nostril. I could work on that. Could you? His tone suggests doubt. Deep, existential doubt. You roll onto your back, still partially buried in hay, gazing at the wooden beams above. They're good beams, solid, dependable, nothing like you really. Your thoughts already wander to tomorrow's lessons. Poison identification, Master Thorn mentioned. You hope it doesn't involve tasting. Last time you tried to identify herbs, you spent 3 hours convinced you were a tulip. Maybe, just maybe, you're not so bad at this. Somewhere in the rafters, a spider lowers slowly beside you on a silk thread. It stops at eye level, all 8 eyes meeting your 2. Even it looks unsure. You've managed to disappoint an arachnid. That's actually impressive. Tomorrow, Master Thorn says, pulling the failed rope down with a series of tugs, we try something simpler. Simpler than climbing? Breathing without causing disasters. You blink. That seems achievable. He looks at you. Really looks. The kind of look that sees into souls and finds them wanting. Does it? Fair point. The owl hoots again. This time definitely mockery. Take another breath. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. and let yourself settle into the rhythm of this ridiculous beginning. The straw tickles. Your dignity is bruised but functional. And somewhere in the distance, another apprentice is probably doing worse. Probably. Hopefully. The spider has begun building a web in your hair. You decide to let it. After all, everyone needs a home, even spiders who've made questionable real estate choices. Your mentor says every assassin needs tools. Subtle, elegant, reliable. You have other ideas. It's been 2 weeks since the rope incident. The spider living in your hair has built an impressive web and started charging other spiders rent. Master Thorn pretends not to notice, though you catch him staring sometimes with an expression that suggests he's composing his resignation letter in his head. Tonight, you're in the workshop, a generous term for what's essentially a shed held together by stubbornness and bird droppings. The workbench wobbles. Everything wobbles here. It's less a building and more a suggestion of one. "Show me your tools," Master Thorn says. He leans against the door frame like he's physically trying to prevent himself from running away. You slide open your equipment roll with the ceremony of a priest revealing holy relics. The leather is new. You saved for months. It's the nicest thing you own, which makes what's inside it even more tragic. You unwrap it like a prized feast. Inside, a dagger disguised as a crusty baguette. A smoke bomb that smells mysteriously and powerfully like onions. And your favorite invention, a silent rubber chicken decoy. But wait, there's more. Master Thorn watches in silence. His face is perfectly still. You can't tell if he's suppressing rage or laughter, or possibly a stroke. His left eye has developed a fascinating twitch that matches his heartbeat. You lift the baguette dagger with pride. The crust is real. You baked it yourself, then hollowed it out and inserted a blade. It took 17 attempts. The first 16 are in various states of char in the village dump. The local dogs now regard bread with deep suspicion. Multi-purpose, you whisper reverently. Cuts throats and sandwiches. He blinks slowly, the kind of blink that contains an entire philosophical debate about where his life went wrong. Observe. You demonstrate, sawing through an apple with the bread knife. Crumbs fly everywhere. The apple is both sliced and somehow breadcrumb crusted. Nutrition and execution. His eye twitches faster. You set the baguette down gently. It makes a metallic thunk that bread definitely shouldn't make. And move to your next innovation. You place the onion bomb on the table. It's a clay sphere, lumpy and painted to look like an actual onion. You're particularly proud of the little roots you added with twine. Smoke cover and tear gas, plus appetite suppressant. Thorn raises one eyebrow. It's the most emotion you've seen from him since last week when you accidentally set his cloak on fire. It was barely on fire, more like aggressively warm. I tested it, you continue. The smoke spreads 15 feet. Everyone cries. Guards think it's just kitchen accidents. Brilliant, yes? You tested it where? The tavern. The tavern where we eat? Yes. The tavern that's now closed for renovations because, and I quote, some fool released a demon of stench? You fidget. They're being dramatic. It only lingered for 3 days. 3 days? The cat came back on day 4. He closes his eyes. You can see him counting. He gets to 10, then 20. At 30, he opens them again. Continue, he says, in the voice of a man who's given up, on expecting anything but chaos. Finally, you set down the rubber chicken with great reverence. Squeak. It's the softest squeak you've ever heard, like a mouse with a sore throat. You had to special order it from a merchant who asked no questions but looked at you with deep concern. You smile, the smile of a parent presenting their child. This, you say, is Bartholomew. There is a long, painful pause, the kind of pause that makes you question your life choices. The workshop seems to shrink. Somewhere, a cricket starts chirping, then stops, as if even it finds this too awkward. Bartholomew, Master Thorn repeats. His voice is completely flat. You named it. Him. I named him. The rubber chicken has a gender? Don't be ridiculous. He's obviously a rooster. Another pause. This one has weight, mass, its own gravitational pull. Then the mentor speaks. If I see that chicken on the battlefield, you better not be alive to explain it. You nod solemnly. Understood. Still, you gently pat its soft rubber head. His little rubber comb flops to one side. You straighten it. What else? Thorn asks, with the air of someone walking to their own execution. Your eyes light up. I'm so glad you asked. From the leather roll, you produce a grappling hook that's actually 3 fish hooks tied together with your mother's good yarn. She won't miss it, you assure him. She will, she definitely will. A vial of invisible ink that's just water. You can't see it, you say proudly. That's technically true, he admits. Lockpicks made from your grandmother's hairpins. One still has her hair attached, gray and wispy, like disappointed cotton. A smoke pellet that's actually a moldy walnut. You're not sure why you packed it, neither is he. And finally, your masterpiece, a map of the castle you're supposed to infiltrate. You drew it yourself. It's interpretive. Is that the castle or a sick cow? Master Thorn asks, tilting his head. Castle. See? That's the tower. I thought that was the udder. Common mistake. He stares at the map longer. Why are there fish? That's the moat. Fish don't look like that. How do you know? Have you asked them? He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. No words come. You've broken him. You've actually broken Master Thorn, the man who once survived 3 days buried alive and called it restful. As the candle flickers, casting dancing shadows on your questionable arsenal, you carefully pack your tools back into the pouch, each item nestled with care. The chicken last, tucked in like a sacred scroll. You make sure Bartholomew can breathe. Can rubber chickens breathe? Best not to risk it. Any questions? You ask brightly. So many, he whispers. So many. About the tools? About everything. Your life, your choices, your continued existence in defiance of natural law. You beam. Thank you. That's not what he meant, but you choose to take it as encouragement. You feel ready. Almost. Well, not really. But you have Bartholomew, and that's something. A distant bell tolls. Somewhere, a guard shifts in his tower, unaware that soon, very soon, he might encounter a bread dagger and a rubber chicken named after your uncle. You haven't told Master Thorn that Bartholomew is named after Uncle Bartholomew. Uncle Bart, who once tried to milk a bull and still won't talk about what happened next. But here in the quiet of your workshop, with your absurd inventions and questionable instincts, you feel like an artist preparing for a very stupid masterpiece. Master Thorn heads for the door. He pauses at the threshold. Tomorrow, we learn about poison. Oh, good. I've been experimenting with... No. He turns, pointing a finger that shakes slightly. No experimenting. No innovations. No Bartholomews. Understood. He leaves. You wait until his footsteps fade. Then you pull out a small journal labeled Poison Ideas and flip to a page titled What If Honey But Spicy? The spider in your hair peers over your shoulder. Even it looks concerned. Outside, an owl hoots. It sounds like laughter. You choose to ignore it. Breathe in. Feel the weight of your terrible tools. Breathe out. Let the laughter settle somewhere between your ribs, and the story continue into the ridiculous night ahead. After all, someone has to assassinate Sir Gregory the Tall, or the tailor. With a bread knife and a rubber chicken, what could possibly go wrong? Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Every assassin must master the art of disguise. You, on the other hand, have mastered the art of being unmistakably suspicious. It's market day in the village, which means crowds, chaos, and the perfect opportunity to practice blending in. Master Thorn has given you a simple assignment. Walk from the north gate to the south gate without anyone noticing you're an assassin in training. Be forgettable, he said. Be invisible. Be anyone but yourself. That last part stung a little, but you understand his point. Yesterday, you tried to practice being stealthy in the garden and somehow ended up leading a parade of ducks. They followed you for an hour. One of them is still outside your window, quacking expectantly. Your first attempt is a monk's robe, borrowed from a monastery laundry line. Well, borrowed is a strong word. Stolen is more accurate. Stolen poorly is most accurate, since you left a note that said, I owe you one robe. Definitely not an assassin. The robe is rough brown wool that itches in places you didn't know could itch. It smells like incense, cabbage, and the existential despair of someone who's taken a vow of silence and immediately regretted it. You pull the hood up, hunch your shoulders in what you assume is a pious manner, and shuffle into the market. For exactly 3 steps, it works. Then a child points. Mama, why does that monk have a tavern on his back? You freeze. Several people turn to look, embroidered across the back in bright red thread. Property of the Drunken Duck Tavern. Not ideal. The stitching is beautiful, really. Someone put real effort into making sure everyone would know exactly where this robe belongs. The duck is particularly well rendered. It appears to be winking. You spin around awkwardly, trying to hide the back against a wall. It's a rare religious order, you mutter. The Order of Drunken Ducks? An old woman squints at you suspiciously. Very rare. Very spiritual. We believe in fermented enlightenment. No one believes you. A actual monk walks by, sees the robe, and shakes his head so sadly you almost give up right there. But you're nothing if not persistent. Also, Master Thorn is watching from somewhere, and you really don't want to do more rope climbing. Next, you duck behind a merchant stall and pull out your second disguise, a mustache. A fake one. You bought it from a theatrical troupe that was leaving town in a hurry. They said it was cursed, but you're pretty sure they were just being dramatic. Theater people are like that. The mustache is impressive, thick, black, and slightly curled at the ends. You stick it on with tree sap you've been carrying for exactly this purpose. It looks convincing from a distance. In poor light, if no one looks directly at it, you stride confidently into the nearest tavern. The prancing pig, not the drunken duck. You're not completely stupid. The lunch crowd is thick, the air heavy with smoke, and the smell of something that might be stew or might be a threat to public health. You order ale in what you hope is a different voice. Deeper, more mysterious. The bartender doesn't even look up. Success. You're blending. You're invisible. You sneeze. It's not a small sneeze. It's the kind of sneeze that suggests your body is trying to escape through your nose. The kind of sneeze that makes nearby chickens concerned. The mustache flies off your face in a perfect arc. Time slows. You watch, horrified, as it sails through the air, past the shocked bartender, over two gossiping merchants, and lands, plop, directly in someone's soup. The tavern goes silent. The kind of silence that has weight. The kind of silence that makes you very aware of your own heartbeat. The soup owner is a large man, very large. The kind of large that suggests he's never met a meal he didn't like or a person he couldn't bench press. He stares at his bowl, where your mustache floats like a very hairy crouton. You stare too. Everyone stares. It's a staring festival, and Soup Mustache is the main event. Adds flavor. You whisper, already backing toward the door. He lifts the mustache with his spoon. It drips. Soup? Dignity? Both. This, he says slowly, is the third time this week someone's dropped hair in my soup. Third, you squeak. First was a beard, then a wig, now this. He looks at you with eyes that have seen too much. Is there some kind of head hair in my food conspiracy I should know about? You're at the door now. No conspiracy, just, fiber, dietary fiber, very healthy. You flee. Behind you, someone says, "Actually, that's not the worst excuse I've heard." Outside, you lean against a wall and catch your breath. Two disguises down. Your confidence is somewhere between shaken and vigorously stirred with a spoon of embarrassment. But you're not done. Oh no, you've come too far to quit now. Also, you can see Master Thorn on a nearby rooftop, watching. He's either proud of your persistence or taking notes for your eulogy. Later, you attempt blending in with merchants in the market. This should be easier. No costumes, just acting natural, being normal. You can do normal. You approach a fruit stand and pick up an apple. The merchant barely glances at you. Perfect. You just need to pretend to shop, maybe haggle a little, blend into the crowd. Best turnips in town, you shout suddenly. Why did you shout that? Why turnips? The words just appeared in your mouth like unwelcome guests. The vendor next to you, an actual turnip seller, frowns deeply. That's not a turnip. You look at the apple in your hand. It's very clearly an apple. It's the most apple-looking apple that's ever appled. It's a round turnip? You try. It's red. Festive turnip? It has a stem. Innovative turnip? The crowd is gathering now. Nothing draws people like a good vegetable-based argument. You quickly toss the apple back and pretend to be very, very interested in a nearby goat. The goat is not impressed. It's seen things, terrible things. Your vegetable confusion doesn't even rank. Nice. Goat, you say, patting its head. The goat bleats. It sounds like judgment. That's a sheep, someone points out. You look closer. It's definitely a goat. Probably. Maybe. You're starting to doubt everything you know about animals. Sheep-goat, you say confidently. Very rare. From the mountains. Which mountains? The tall ones. This is going poorly. You back away from the goat, sheep, whatever, and immediately trip over a broom. The broom belongs to a street sweeper who yells something about young people these days, and in my time, we knew how to walk. Trying to recover, you stumble sideways and knock over a barrel. The barrel, it turns out, is full of fish. Live fish. They flop everywhere. The fishmonger screams. A cat appears from nowhere, eyes wide with Christmas morning joy. In the chaos, someone grabs your arm. You! Yes, you! Oh no, you've been caught. This is it. Your assassin career, ended by fish and poor spatial awareness. You're perfect, the person continues. He's wearing bright clothes and a hat with bells. A natural comedian, join our troupe. You're what? Street performers. That bit with the turnip apple? Brilliant. And the fish barrel? Physical comedy gold. Before you can protest, he's thrust 3 juggling balls into your hands and pushed you into a circle of gathering spectators. You stand there, holding the balls while everyone watches expectantly. Juggle! Someone shouts. You've never juggled in your life, but you've come this far on pure confidence and poor decisions. Why stop now? You toss 1 ball up. It comes down. You catch it. The crowd waits. You toss 2 balls. They collide mid-air and bounce off your head. Someone laughs. You throw all 3 at once in panic. They scatter. 1 hits the goat sheep. It bleats indignantly and eats it. The crowd loves it. They think it's all intentional. Coins rain down. You bow, nearly falling over, which gets more applause. 3 people cheer. 1 throws a copper coin. You take it. A win is a win. The performer with the bell hat slaps your back. Magnificent. Same time tomorrow? I'll check my schedule. You mumble, gathering the coins and backing away. Eventually, you duck into an alley, lean against the wall, and sigh. The stone is cool against your back. Your monk robe is askew, you smell like fish, and somewhere a goat is digesting your juggling equipment. Blending in is harder than it looks, especially when you keep standing out. Still, you've made it this far without being arrested, stabbed, or trampled by livestock. Well, the goat sheep did step on your foot, but that was probably accidental. You call that progress. From your satchel comes a small, comforting squeak. You pat the bag gently. I know, Bartholomew, I know. A passing street sweeper, not the one you tripped over, a different one, glances at your squeaking bag. Nice chicken impression, he says. Thanks, you reply automatically, then freeze. I mean, what chicken? He's already gone. Take a breath, taste the market air. Horse, bread, fish, and the faint scent of your own failure. Let the sounds of the village soften. Hooves on cobblestone, voices haggling, a distant lute being played by someone who clearly just learned their first chord and is very proud of it, and the faint cluck of a very familiar rubber chicken in your satchel. Above, on his rooftop, Master Thorn watches you shuffle home. Tomorrow, he'll make you practice being invisible again, and again, and again, until you can walk through a crowd without starting a vegetable debate or joining a theater troupe. But tonight, you have a copper coin, a new career option in street performance, and a rubber chicken who believes in you. Bartholomew believes in you, and that's enough, for now. Even if you're still not entirely sure what animal you petted, night has fallen. The streets are quiet, mostly. A dog barks in the distance. Somewhere someone drops a tankard and curses in 3 languages, 2 of which might be made up. A baby cries, then stops, probably bribed with milk or mild threats. But up here, on the rooftop, it's just you, the moon, and a plan. Well, plan is generous. It's more like a suggestion, a loose framework, a general hope that gravity will remain consistent and your natural clumsiness will take a brief holiday. You're perched on the edge of the Drunken Duck Tavern. Yes, the same one whose robe you borrowed. You've returned it, by the way. Left it on their doorstep with a note. Sorry about the fish smell, and the new holes, and the questionable stains. Actually, just sorry in general. Tonight is the night. After weeks of training, countless bruises, and that incident with the juggling goat, you've decided it was definitely a goat. You're ready for your first real infiltration. Target: Sir Gregory's Manor, the tall one, or the tailor. You've brought sketches of both, just in case. Master Thorn's final advice echoes in your head. Be silent, be shadow, be anything but yourself. Encouraging. You crouch low, feet steady, on the old shingles. Well, steady is optimistic. The shingles are slick with evening dew, and what you hope is just moss. Your left foot is already suggesting this was a bad idea. Your right foot is composing a strongly worded letter of complaint. This is it. The approach. The part every assassin dreams of. Silent, shadowy, smooth. You adjust your hood. It immediately falls off. You put it back on. It falls off again. You give up and let your hair flow free. The spider that lives there seems pleased. You've named him Gerald. He's been very supportive. You take one careful step. The shingle holds. Success. Then another. Still good. You're doing it. You're actually... Scream. You freeze so completely that Gerald the spider assumes you've died and starts building a memorial web. You look down. A rusted weather vane turns slowly beside you, letting out a sound like a dying goose in a soup can. If the goose was also rusty and had strong opinions about your life choices. The weather vane is shaped like a rooster, because of course it is. The universe has a sense of humor and it's aimed at you. You slowly, silently glare at it. It squeaks again, defiantly. The metal rooster's eye seems to mock you. You're being judged by inanimate poultry. This is a new low? You put a finger to your lips. Shh. You whisper at the metal rooster. The rooster does not shh. If anything, it squeaks louder. It's like it's trying to alert the entire village. Intruder! It seems to shriek. Incompetent intruder on the roof. Below, a guard pauses his patrol. Your heart stops. This is it. You're caught. Your assassination career will end before it began. They'll write songs about your failure. Bad songs with too many verses. The guard looks up, then continues walking. Bloody weather vanes, he mutters. Council says they'll oil them. Do they? Do they hell? You exhale slowly. Thank the gods for municipal negligence. You continue forward, choosing a different path across the rooftop, away from the accusatory rooster. Your new route takes you over what appears to be the tavern's chimney. It's not currently smoking, which is good because, clang, your visor flips shut. On your own nose. The pain is immediate and personal. Your nose didn't deserve this. It's been a good nose. Faithful. Always there in the middle of your face. You mutter a muffled ow, then try to lift it, only to make the sound again. Clang. Right on the same spot. Your nose is developing trust issues. Clang. A third time. Are you doing this to yourself? Yes. Can you stop? Apparently not. Clang. Fourth time. Even Gerald is embarrassed for you. Eventually, you get it unstuck by wedging your dagger under it and prying carefully. The visor pops open with a sound like a judge's gavel. Guilty of being an idiot, it seems to say. You take a deep breath, in through your nose. Nope, still hurts. It's already swelling. By tomorrow, you'll look like someone who lost a fight with the door. Which, technically, you did. A very small, face-mounted door. You shift your footing and begin crawling forward. Now on all fours. Now even lower. You are one with the roof. You are the night. You are... Your knee finds a loose shingle. It slides. You don't. For a moment, you perform an inadvertent split that would make a gymnast weep with envy. Muscles you didn't know you had file formal complaints. You make a sound like a stepped-on cat trying to yodel. But you recover. Barely. Your dignity, however, remains at the bottom of the roof, possibly dead. You continue crawling. More carefully now, like a cat. A clumsy cat, wearing boots that have springs attached and possibly bells. You're approaching the gap between buildings. Just a small jump. 3 feet at most. You've done this in training dozens of times. Admittedly, You've succeeded twice, but those 2 times were magnificent. You prepare. You visualize success. You sneeze. It comes from nowhere, loud, unexpected. It echoes down the alley like a declaration of war against subtlety. You hold your breath, as if that will somehow recall the sneeze. Take it back, unsneeze it. Everything goes still. Even the owl from earlier pauses mid-hoot, like, "Who's this amateur on my turf?" A cat stops licking itself to stare. You've interrupted a cat's grooming routine. That's how loud you sneezed. Somewhere down below, a guard mutters, "Must have been the wind." Classic. Guards in this town blame everything on wind. Lost chicken? Wind. Missing pie? Wind. Loud sneeze from the rooftops? Particularly sneezy wind. You make a mental note to thank the wind later. You continue on, more cautiously now, placing each step like a cat. The theoretical graceful kind, not the kind that falls off furniture while sleeping. The jump between buildings looms ahead. You back up for a running start. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. Your foot catches on something. You look down. It's your own other foot. You've tripped on yourself while standing still. This is a special kind of talent. But you recover. Sort of. In a windmill of arms and creative profanity that would make a sailor take notes. Finally, miraculously, you make the jump. You land on the opposite roof with all the grace of a sack of potatoes thrown by an angry farmer. But you made it. Eventually, you reach the edge of the roof and peer down. There it is, Sir Gregory's Manor. It's less impressive than you expected. The sketches made it look imposing. In reality, it looks like someone gave up halfway through being fancy. Your target sleeps just beyond the wall. You're almost there. Victory is within reach. You can taste it. It tastes like rust and fear. You take one more deep breath. The worst is behind you. And then, squawk. It's not a loud squawk, more like a squeaky protest, a rubbery complaint. You look down in horror as Bartholomew the rubber chicken rolls out of your cloak. Time slows. You watch your faithful companion tumble end over end. His little rubber beak catches the moonlight. His painted eyes seem to say, "Et tu, brute?" He bounces once on a shingle, twice. Then, straight off the roof, you lunge forward, hand outstretched. Too late. Thud. The sound of rubber chicken meeting cobblestone is sadder than it has any right to be. You whisper after it, "Traitor." But wait. No one stirs. No guards come running. No alarm bells ring. You peer over the edge. Bartholomew has landed in a pile of hay. He's fine. More importantly, a guard is standing right next to the hay, looking at the chicken with deep confusion. "Huh," the guard says. "Must be raining chickens again." Again? Again? He kicks Bartholomew into a corner and resumes his patrol, muttering about this weird bloody town, and should have taken that job in the capital. You stare. The chicken has done its job. Not the job you intended, but a job nonetheless. You nod, silently impressed. Bartholomew works in mysterious ways. A cool breeze ruffles your hair. Gerald the spider retreats deeper into your scalp, probably questioning his life choices. Smart spider. From here, you can see into the manor's courtyard. 2 windows are lit. In one, someone paces. Tall, very tall. That must be Gregory the Tall. In the other window, someone sits hunched over a table. Sewing. That must be Gregory the Tailor. You pull out your smudged contract, squint at it in the moonlight. The ink has smudged even more. Now it might say Sir Gregory the Toiler, or Trailer, or possibly Tadpole. This is why assassins should invest in better filing systems. You'll figure it out when you get there. That's what Master Thorn calls thinking on your feet. You call it winging it with style. Same thing really, and continue forward. One ridiculous step at a time. The manor awaits. Your destiny beckons. Your rubber chicken lies in a corner, somehow still judging you. But you're here. You made it. Despite the weather vane, the visor, the sneeze and the self-tripping, you're actually doing this. You're the worst assassin in history, but by the gods, you're persistent. And sometimes, that's enough. Probably. Hopefully. Gerald the spider starts building a web between your ears. You let him. Everyone needs a hobby. Time to assassinate someone. Or at least give it a really good try. You've made it past the guards, over the roof, through the shadows. You're inside and immediately lost. The castle's interior is nothing like your map. Then again, your map looks like a sick cow, so perhaps that's not surprising. The corridors branch and twist, like the thoughts of someone who's eaten too much cheese before bed, which, coincidentally, describes you most nights. You tiptoe down the corridor, each stone echoing underfoot. Your boots, the silent ones Master Thorn gave you, squeak with every step. They sound like mice arguing about philosophy, passionate mice, with strong opinions about sandals. The walls are hung with tapestries depicting glorious battles. In one, a knight slays a dragon. In another, a king conquers a city. In a third, someone appears to be aggressively negotiating with a tree. Art is subjective. You count doors as you pass, trying to remember Master Thorn's instructions. Third door on the left after the suit of armor, he said. Or was it fourth door on the right before the painting of the constipated duke? One door. Looks promising. Ornate handle. Probably leads to a bedroom. 2 doors. This one has a small window. You peer through. It's a closet. Full of hats. So many hats. Why does anyone need that many hats? You make a mental note to investigate later. For security purposes. 3 doors. Wait, is that stew? You sniff. It is stew, but not just any stew. This is stew that's been loved. Stew that's been whispered to. Stew that's had bedtime stories read to it as it simmered. Your stomach growls, loudly and without shame. It sounds like a bear that's just discovered it's been on a diet without its consent. You should ignore it. You're on a mission. You have a job to do. Someone to assassinate. A Gregory to identify and eliminate. Your stomach growls again. Louder. It's making threats now. You follow the smell like a hungry moth to fire. Your feet move without consulting your brain. This happens more often than you'd like to admit. The scent leads you down a narrow staircase. The stones are worn smooth by centuries of midnight snackers. You're part of a grand tradition, really. And before you know it, you've pushed open a heavy wooden door and entered the royal kitchen. It's massive, cavernous, the kind of kitchen that suggests the castle's builders understood priorities. Copper pots hang from the ceiling like delicious bells. A fireplace, large enough to roast an entire cow, crackles merrily. It might actually be roasting an entire cow. It's hard to tell from this angle. A cook turns and sees you. She's built like someone who takes food seriously, and nonsense not at all. Her arm suggests she could beat someone to death with a ladle and then use the same ladle to make soup. Her apron has stains that tell stories, violent stories, with gravy. She pauses. You freeze. Neither of you speaks. This is it. You're caught. She's going to scream. Guards will come. You'll be dragged to the dungeons. They'll torture you by making you explain your rubber chicken. Then she says, "You're late." You blink, process, reboot your brain. You nod slowly. Yes, I was checking the spices. It's not a good lie. It's barely a lie. It's more like a vague suggestion of deception. She hands you a ladle. It's heavier than your assassin's dagger. More dangerous too, in the right hands. Stir. The Duke wants his midnight stew. Duke? You thought this was Sir Gregory's castle. Unless Gregory is a duke? Can you be a sir and a duke? Is that too many titles? Your knowledge of nobility extends to they have money and they like saying peasant dramatically. You glance at the cauldron, bubbling softly, steam rising like a sleepy ghost. A delicious ghost, the kind you'd invite to haunt your kitchen. You stir. It feels oddly peaceful. The ladle moves through the stew in gentle circles. Carrots bob to the surface like tiny orange boats. Chunks of meat, hopefully cow, possibly something that lost a fight with the cook, swirl in the brown depths. An onion surfaces, takes one look at you and dives back down. Behind you, the kitchen lives its own life. Pots clink like a percussion section warming up. Knives chop in rhythm. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Somewhere bread dough is being kneaded by someone who's either making bread or working through some serious emotional issues. The warmth of the kitchen wraps around you like a thick wool blanket. A blanket that smells like rosemary and impending heartburn. More rosemary, someone yells from across the kitchen. You nod, still pretending to know what rosemary is. Is it the green stuff? The brown stuff? The stuff that looks like tiny trees? You scan the herb rack. Everything looks like it could be rosemary or poison. In some cases, probably both. You drop in something green. It smells nice. Piney. Probably fine. If everyone dies, you'll blame it on the wind. The cook appears at your elbow. She watches you stir with the critical eye of someone who's seen too many disasters involving soup. Clockwise, she says. You've been stirring counterclockwise. Is there a difference? Apparently. Clockwise summons the flavors, she explains. Counterclockwise summons the demons. You immediately switch direction. You've met enough challenges tonight without adding soup demons to the list. A sleepy guard walks in. He's the kind of tired that suggests he's been vertical against his will for too long. His armor is slightly askew, like he put it on in the dark while drunk, which he probably did. Is the stew ready? He yawns so wide you can count his teeth. He's missing a few, probably lost them to previous stews. The cook gestures to you. Ask the new boy. New boy, you're a trained assassin. Well, sort of trained, partially trained. You've attended some training. You ladle a bowl with what you hope is professional stew ladling technique. The stew plops into the bowl with a sound like a boot being pulled from mud. Appetizing. You hand it over. The guard tastes it and smiles. Not bad, he says, yawning again. His yawns are contagious. You fight the urge to yawn back. Bit garlicky, but comforting. Garlic? Did you add garlic? You might have. Everything in that spice rack looks suspicious. He shuffles out, leaving behind the smell of armor polish and fatigue. Also, a small puddle of stew where he dribbled. Palace guards. They're just like us, but with swords. You stand there in silence, staring at the ladle in your hand. It's a good ladle. Solid, dependable. It's never let anyone down. Unlike you, who was supposed to be assassinating someone right now. You're supposed to be an assassin. Instead, you've become the midnight chef. The realization hits you like a wet fish to the face. You know exactly what that feels like. Training with Master Thorn was comprehensive and weird. You let out a small laugh. It bubbles up from somewhere deep, surprising you. It feels good, warm, the kind of laugh that says, well, this wasn't the plan, but it's not bad either. The cook eyes you suspiciously. What's funny? Just life, you say. It's the most honest thing you've said all night. She nods sagely. Life is funny. All so short, all so full of onions that make you cry. Speaking of which, chop those. She points to a pile of onions that suggests someone's planning to make the entire castle weep. You should leave. You should sneak out, find the right Gregory, complete your mission. But the kitchen is warm. The stew smells like home. If home was a place where someone knew how to cook, your mother's specialty was burnt with a side of resignation. And honestly, you're hungry. You quietly slip a roll into your cloak pocket, a snack for later. It's still warm. It leaves crumbs in your pocket that will annoy you for days. Worth it. An assassin's tax, you tell yourself, then realize you said it out loud. What? The cook looks at you sharply. An appetite tax because I'm so hungry. From all the cooking. She squints at you but says nothing. In kitchen culture, bread theft is a minor crime. Burning the bread is a capital offense. You continue stirring. The stew bubbles contentedly. It's happy stew. You've made happy stew. This is not in the assassin handbook, but it feels like an achievement. Outside, the castle is still asleep. The Gregory you're supposed to eliminate is probably dreaming of whatever Gregories dream of. Tall things? Tailoring? You'll find out eventually. Inside, the fire crackles like an old man's laugh. Bread rises in the corner, full of yeasty optimism. Your mission is temporarily on pause, but you're learning things, important things, like how to stir clockwise, and that guards like garlicky stew. and that kitchens at midnight are magical places where assassins can pretend to be cooks and nobody asks too many questions. "Oi, new boy," someone calls. "Bring that stew to the dining hall, late night council meeting." Council meeting? At this hour? Your assassin instincts twitch. This could be useful. Intelligence gathering, strategic positioning. Also, more bread. You hoist the cauldron with help. It weighs more than your confidence and self-doubt combined, and follow another servant through the corridors. Take a breath, taste the steam, beef and vegetables, and something that might be thyme or might be crime. Let it fill your lungs. Let your thoughts settle like flour through a sieve. For now, you are exactly where you need to be, even if it's not where you intended to be. Sometimes the best plans are the ones that fall apart and land in stew. Gerald the spider peeks out from your hair, attracted by the smell. Even he approves. You've impressed the spider. Tonight is full of victories. Small, strange, stew-scented victories, but victories nonetheless. You leave the kitchen with a belly full of stew and a roll tucked safely in your cloak. Well, half a roll. The other half is in your belly with the stew. They're getting along well. The kitchen staff waves goodbye like you're an old friend. The cook even packed you a small bundle. "For the road," she said, then winked. You're not sure what she knows, but she definitely knows something. Now, back to the mission. Remember the mission. The whole reason you're here? The assassination that's been somewhat delayed by your unexpected culinary career? You slip through the hallway, trying to look like you belong. You've learned that the key to infiltration is confidence. Walk like you're supposed to be there, and most people won't question it. Walk like you're lost and covered in stew stains, and everyone questions it. The castle at night is different from the castle full of kitchen steam and bread smells. It's quieter, darker. The shadows have shadows. The portraits on the walls seem to watch you pass with painted eyes that say, "We know you don't belong here, stew boy." You climb a narrow staircase. It spirals up and up like the architect was paid by the step. Your legs start to burn around step 30. By step 50, you're questioning your career choices. By step 70, you're questioning your life choices. Finally, blessed flat ground. A corridor stretches before you, lit by torches that flicker dramatically. Everything in castles flickers dramatically. It's like they buy their torches from a place called Dramatic Flames Are Us. You check your mental notes, which you should have written down, but writing materials are expensive and you spent your last coins on the rubber chicken. Priorities. Door with a red seal. That's what Master Thorn said. Or was it blue seal? Colors are hard in torchlight. Everything looks orange and suspicious. You creep along, examining doors. Iron handle, brass handle, fancy, iron handle, and then a door marked with a wax seal. The mark of your target. Sir Gregory. The seal shows a griffin eating what appears to be a turnip, or possibly a small child. Heraldry is not your strong suit. Neither is assassination, apparently, but you're working on it. You slowly push the door open. It creaks. Because of course it does. You've never met a door that didn't want to announce your presence. Doors are nature's snitches. You slip inside and freeze. The room is large, larger than your entire childhood home. and that housed 6 people, 3 chickens, and a goat with delusions of being a dog. Tapestries hang on every wall. A fireplace big enough to roast the kitchen's cow crackles warmly, and in the center, inside, 1 large bed and 2 people in it. You blink, once, then again, then a 3rd time for good measure. 2 men, both with gray hair, matching mustaches, and snores like thunderclouds arguing about who owns the sky. This was not in the plan. You edge closer, squinting in the dim light. They're nearly identical, like someone copied a person, but the ink was running low, so the second one came out slightly faded. You lean closer, whispering, "Sir Gregory?" One snorts like a startled pig and mutters something about damn pigeons. The other rolls over, taking most of the blanket with him. Even in sleep they're competing. This is a problem. Which one is your target? The tall one or the tailor? They're both lying down, so height is hard to judge. Neither is currently tailoring, so that's not helpful either. On the nightstand, you spot a nameplate. Fancy brass thing. You lean in to read it. Sir Gregory of West Hedge. Okay, good. Progress. That's definitely a Gregory. You tiptoe to the other side of the bed. The other bed? No, wait, it's the same bed. These men are sharing a bed? That's progressive for medieval times. The other nightstand has a book resting on it. You pick it up carefully. The cover reads, Memoirs of Sir Gregory the Tall. No, 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 no. They are both named Gregory. You stare at the ceiling for a moment, hoping for divine intervention. A sign, a helpful angel, even an unhelpful angel, anything. The ceiling stares back, offering nothing but cobwebs and what might be a water stain shaped like a disapproving aunt. Why? You whisper to no one. Are there 2 Gregorys in one bed? One of the Gregorys mumbles, because the inn was full. You freeze. Did he just... No. He's still asleep. Sleep talking. Great. Chatty targets. Just what you needed. You look back down at the tiny bottle of sleeping herb in your hand. Master Thorn gave it to you with strict instructions. 3 drops. No more, unless you want them sleeping until next Tuesday. But which Gregory gets the drops? Tall or West Hedge? West Hedge or Tall? You think back to your smudged contract. In the candlelight of this room, you pull it out and examine it again. The ink has now formed what looks like a small landscape painting. There might be a tree or a giraffe. Your contract has become art. You could wait. Try to determine which is which. But one of them just started sleep talking about chicken prices, and the other is responding with strong opinions about grain tax. If they wake up fully, you'll have to explain why you're standing over their bed at 3 in the morning holding suspicious herbs. You shrug. Both teacups get a generous splash. Well, splash is generous. You upend the entire bottle. Liquid glugs out like it's eager to do its job. 3 drops? Try 30. Oops, you whisper. Then to the sleeping Gregorys. Sweet dreams. Very, very long sweet dreams. You gently stir the teacups with your finger. Then realize that's unsanitary and use the fancy little spoon instead. You're an assassin, not a barbarian. Within minutes, the snoring deepens into something between a growl and a lullaby. It's synchronized snoring, stereo snoring. If snoring was music, this would be a symphony. You exhale. Collateral drowsiness, you whisper to yourself. It sounds professional, like something a real assassin would say. Very unfortunate. But are they too asleep? You wave a hand in front of one Gregory's face. Nothing. You poke the other Gregory gently. He doesn't stir. Oh dear. You've created two very sleepy Gregorys. They're not dead. The snoring confirms that. But they're definitely going to miss breakfast. And lunch. Possibly dinner. You scan the room, partly out of curiosity, partly to avoid thinking about what you've just done. Two matching tunics hang on hooks. Two swords lean against the wall. One pair of identical boots sits by the door. These men share everything. It's either touching or deeply weird. On a desk, you find correspondence. Letters addressed to the Gregorys. Plural, they sign things together. Gregorys squared. They have a seal that's just two G's intertwined, like they're in a very committed relationship with the letter G. This may not have been your fault if everyone calls them the Gregorys, and your contract just says Gregory. Technically, you are supposed to get both. Maybe. That's sound logic, right? Right? A clock chimes somewhere. 4 a.m. You should leave before someone finds you here with two unconscious Gregorys and a lot of questions. You creep toward the window and ease it open. The night air is cool and smells like freedom and questionable decisions. The ivy on the wall looks sturdy enough. You've climbed worse. Remember the rope incident? This is basically the same, but leafier. You swing one leg over the balcony and begin your descent. The ivy holds. Mostly. There's a concerning crack about halfway down, but you choose to interpret it as the plant adjusting to your weight. Plants are accommodating like that. As you reach the ground, a servant walks by and glances up. He's carrying a chamber pot, which suggests his night is going worse than yours. He looks at you. You look at him. The chamber pot looks at both of you, judging silently. Which Gregory was it this time? He asks casually, like this is a normal occurrence. This time. You pause, one foot still in the ivy, the other on solid ground. You probably look like you're doing a very specific dance. The one who snores louder, you reply, because when in doubt, be vague. He nods in understanding. A classic, though they both snore like drunken bears, so that hardly narrows it down. The slightly louder one? Ah, Sir Gregory the Tall then. He's got that deviated septum. The servant shifts the chamber pot to his other hand. Though between you and me, I don't know why everyone's so keen on putting them to sleep. They barely wake up before noon anyway. Everyone? Right, you say. Well, job's done. Good on you. The betting pool was getting ridiculous. Margaret from the kitchen had 3 chickens on tonight being the night. There's a betting pool. On the Gregorys being sleep-herbed. Your life has taken a turn for the surreal. The servant wanders off, whistling. You stand there, still half in the ivy, processing. You disappear into the shadows, not entirely sure what just happened, but certain that something was accomplished. As you make your way back through the streets, you check your pockets. The half roll is still there, now with added pocket lint. The bundle from the cook contains cheese, an apple, and a note that says, "Try more salt next time." Next time? Is she expecting you to come back and cook? You may have technically succeeded, or possibly not. But you definitely did something to someone who may or may not have been the right someone. But hey, no one died, and that's progress. Master Thorn always says, a good assassin leaves no trace. You've left 2 very sleepy Gregorys, a confused servant, and a kitchen staff that expects you back for the breakfast shift. That's basically the same thing, right? Gerald the spider emerges from your hair and gives you what might be a supportive pat with one of his legs. Or he's just repositioning. With spiders, it's hard to tell. At least we got stew, you tell him. He doesn't respond, but his silence feels approving. Tomorrow, you'll figure out if you succeeded or failed. Tonight, you have cheese, half a roll, and the memory of really good stew. For an assassin's life, that's not bad. Not bad at all. You run. Well, jog. Briskly. Actually, it's more of a purposeful shuffle. The kind of movement that suggests you have somewhere important to be, but aren't in enough of a rush to break a sweat. You're not exactly fleeing. You're exiting. Quietly. With dignity. And with half a roll bouncing in your pocket, leaving a trail of crumbs that would make any tracker's job embarrassingly easy. Behind you, the castle fades into the mist. Or maybe that's just your vision blurring from the brisk jog. Either way, distance is being achieved, slowly, purposefully, with occasional pauses to catch your breath and pretend to admire architecture. The streets are still mostly empty. A few early risers, bakers mostly because bread waits for no one, give you curious looks. You probably should have removed the feathers from the kitchen incident, and the stew stains, and the general air of someone who's just drugged 2 nobles and isn't quite sure if that was the right call. Ahead, the market square begins to wake up. Merchants arrive with their wares. Someone sets up a cabbage stand. Another person appears to be selling what they claim are miracle cure-all potions, but look suspiciously like colored water. You respect the hustle. And parked along the side? A small wooden handcart. It's seen better days, better decades, probably. The wheels are different sizes, giving it a perpetual lean, like it's always turning left. The wood is the color of despair, mixed with chicken droppings, and it's filled to the brim with live chickens. So many chickens. They're stacked in wooden crates like feathery apartment buildings. Brown ones, white ones, some speckled ones that look like they're wearing tiny pajamas. One black rooster sits on top like the king of Poultry Mountain. You stare at the cart. The chickens stare back. It's a moment, a connection, cross-species understanding. You whisper, "I need your help." One chicken, a hefty white hen with eyes that have seen things, blinks slowly, as if to say, "We've been waiting for you." Or maybe, "Are you the idiot who dropped the rubber chicken earlier?" Hard to read chicken expressions. You glance around. No owner in sight. The cart sits there like destiny on wheels. Squeaky, lopsided wheels, but still. You climb in. It's not graceful. Your foot catches on the edge. You tumble forward, face first into feathers and indignation. The chickens express their displeasure in a symphony of squawks that probably wakes the entire district. Sorry, sorry, you mutter, righting yourself. You settle between two baskets. It's cozy, if your definition of cozy includes being surrounded by judgmental poultry and the distinct aroma of bird anxiety. In front of the cart, there's no horse, no donkey, not even an optimistic goat. But there are reins. They're attached to the cart itself. This is either very advanced engineering or someone's practical joke. You gently tug the reins, not sure what to expect. The cart lurches forward. Squawk, squawk, creak. You're moving. How? Why? These are questions for philosophers and people who aren't currently fleeing a castle full of sleeping Gregories. Feathers swirl around you like a bizarre, flapping snowstorm. You've become one with the chickens. You are their leader now. Their feathered prophet. A chicken pecks your ear. Ow! I'm trying to drive here. The chickens somehow move with purpose. The cart gains speed. Not much speed. This isn't exactly a racing vehicle, but enough to create a small breeze that sends more feathers into your face. They take a sharp left. The cart leans precariously. You grab a chicken for support. It is not pleased. Then a right. This time you're ready, leaning into the turn like a sea captain in a storm. A very slow, poultry-filled storm. Then a U-turn for no apparent reason. What are we doing? You ask the chickens. The black rooster crows. It sounds like an explanation. You don't speak chicken, but you nod anyway. Guards in the distance spot motion and give chase. You can hear their armor clanking, their voices calling out official-sounding things like halt and stop in the name of something. Your heart pounds. This is it. The dramatic chase scene. You grip the reins tighter. The chickens sense urgency and increase their whatever it is they're doing. The guards round the corner at full sprint and freeze. They see a cart filled with flapping, furious poultry. Feathers everywhere, beaks pointing in all directions. The universal chaos of chickens who've decided today is the day for revolution. At the helm, but you're transformed, cloaked in feathers like some ancient bird deity. They stick to the stew stains, creating a fashion statement that won't catch on for several centuries. Your hair and Gerald are completely covered in down. You look like you've been tarred and feathered, but voluntarily. Eyes calm, stoic. The eyes of someone who's transcended normal human concerns and entered a state of poultry enlightenment. One guard blinks, opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Was that? The other holds up a hand. It's trembling slightly. Just don't. But whatever you think you saw, you didn't see it. I definitely saw. No, you saw morning mist, maybe a stray cat. That was clearly a person covered in morning mist. They stand there, watching your chicken chariot disappear around another corner. One guard removes his helmet and pours out a few feathers. I hate this job, he mutters. You vanish into the alleyways. The narrow passages that wind through the old quarter like the fevered doodles of a city planner who gave up halfway through. The chickens navigate with confidence, left at the bakery that smells like heaven, right at the tannery that smells like the opposite, straight through a shortcut that you're pretty sure doesn't exist on any map. The chickens cluck like tiny hooves, galloping toward freedom. If you close your eyes, you could almost imagine you're in a magnificent carriage pulled by stallions. You open your eyes. Nope. Still chickens. From your satchel comes a familiar squeak. You look down. Bartholomew the rubber chicken peeks out, somehow having survived the fall earlier. He must have bounced back to you when you weren't looking. Rubber chickens are loyal like that. He seems to be giving silent directions. A squeak for left, 2 for right, or maybe he's just being squeezed by the motion. Either way, you choose to believe he's helping. Good to have you back, Bartholomew, you whisper. He squeaks. It sounds like acceptance of your terrible life choices. You pass bakery stalls, just opening for the morning. The smell of fresh bread makes your stomach growl despite the stew, or maybe because of it. Stew is more of a food lubricant than actual food. Dimly lit doorways hide early morning activities you don't want to know about. Someone's either committing crimes or really enthusiastically needing dough. In this neighborhood, could be either. A cat watches from a windowsill. It looks impressed or hungry. Cats are hard to read. You're safe. For now. The adrenaline starts to fade, replaced by the dawning realization that you're riding in a self-propelled chicken cart through the medieval equivalent of a suburb, covered in feathers, carrying a rubber chicken, after drugging 2 nobles who may or may not have been your actual targets. Your mother always said you'd make something of yourself. This probably wasn't what she meant. Eventually, the chickens slow, guided by some ancient bird instinct or exhaustion. Even magical self-propelling chicken carts have limits. The cart creaks to a stop under a lantern-lit tree. It's a nice tree, sturdy, the kind of tree that's seen many strange things and decided to just go with it. You hop off. Well, hop implies grace. You fall off, catch yourself, pretend that was intentional, then dust yourself off. Feathers drift around you like snow in the world's strangest globe. You turn to face your saviors. The chickens look back. There's a moment of mutual respect. You've been through something together. Something inexplicable and probably impossible, but definitely something. You bow slightly to your feathered crew. It feels appropriate. They've earned it. One hen, the wise-looking white one, waddles forward. She pecks your boot affectionately. Or aggressively. With chickens, affection and aggression are separated by very thin margins. Thank you for your service, you whisper solemnly. The chickens say nothing, but you know they understand. The black rooster crows once, quietly. A gentleman's crow, a crow that says, "Go now, feather-covered stranger. Your destiny awaits. Also, we're keeping the cart." You nod. Fair enough. As you walk away, you hear the cart creak into motion again. You turn to look, but it's already disappearing into the morning mist, carrying its paltry passengers to whatever adventure chickens seek. Gerald the spider emerges from your feather cocoon. He looks around, takes in the situation, and starts building a new web. This one incorporates feathers. He's adaptable. Well, you tell him, that happened. He continues building. Sometimes silence is the most eloquent response. The sun is rising properly now. The city wakes. Soon the streets will fill with people who had normal nights with normal dreams, who'll go about their normal days. And then there's you, covered in feathers, holding a rubber chicken, having just escaped via poultry power after accidentally drugging the wrong or right nobles. But you're free. You're alive. You have half a role, now decorated with feathers, and a story no one will ever believe. Somewhere behind you, 2 Gregorys sleep the sleep of the heavenly herbs. Somewhere ahead, Master Thorn waits for your report, and somewhere in between, a cart full of chickens continues its mysterious journey, leaving only feathers and confusion in its wake. You take a deep breath. It tastes like morning and chickens and possibility. Time to find somewhere to remove approximately 7 pounds of feathers from your person. But first, breakfast. You've earned it. Morning sunlight creeps through the dusty windows of the village courthouse like a reluctant witness. It illuminates motes of dust that dance in the air, each one a tiny, floating piece of evidence against the courthouse's cleaning schedule. You sit at the defendant's bench, still wearing feathers from the night before. Well, most of the feathers. You've shed about half of them on the walk here, leaving a trail that would make any competent tracker weep with joy. Small children have been following you all morning, collecting them. One enterprising child is already selling genuine mystery bird person feathers for a copper each. The courthouse is exactly what you'd expect from a building where justice goes to take a nap. The benches are worn smooth by the posteriors of countless petty criminals. The walls bear the inspirational motto, "Justice is blind, but she can smell guilt." Below it, someone has scratched, "And cheese, she can smell cheese too." Gerald the spider has made himself comfortable in what remains of your feathery coating. He's built a small web between 2 particularly sturdy feathers and seems to be charging other insects admission to cross it. Entrepreneurial spider. A stern-looking judge enters and takes his seat. He's the kind of stern that suggests he was born frowning and has been perfecting it ever since. His robes are black and imposing, though you notice they're hemmed slightly too short, revealing argyle socks. Even Justice has laundry day. He yawns, a massive jaw-cracking yawn that suggests either a very late night or a very boring breakfast. Flips through a scroll and glances at you over the rim of his glasses. The glasses are thick enough to see into the future. Unfortunately, all they show him is you, covered in feathers, sitting in his courtroom. He looks like he's reconsidering several life choices. "Name?" he asks, in the tone of someone who's asked this question too many times and rarely gets a sensible answer. You pause. Your real name seems inadequate for the situation. You need something that captures the majesty of your chicken-assisted escape. Something that, "Sir, Featherbottom." It's out before you can stop it. Your mouth has betrayed you. Again. The entire courtroom goes silent. Someone in the back snorts, then tries to cover it with a cough. It doesn't work. The judge blinks. Once, twice. His left eye twitches in what's becoming a familiar rhythm. You're starting to think you have this effect on authority figures. Real name. Panic. What's a real name? Any name? The first name that comes to mind? Gregory, you say quickly. There's a long silence. The kind of silence that has its own sound. The kind that makes you very aware of your own heartbeat and the fact that you're still wearing feathers. From somewhere in the courtroom, a voice mutters, "Of course it's another Gregory." The judge's eye twitches faster. He looks like he's trying to communicate in Morse code with his facial muscles. The message is probably help. The judge sighs. A sigh that starts in his toes and works its way up, gathering momentum and despair, and gestures to the scribe. The scribe is approximately 100 years old and appears to be held together by ink stains and stubbornness. His quill scratches across parchment like an arthritic chicken trying to write poetry. Put down anonymous buffoon in cloak. That's not very... You start. Would you prefer feather-covered fool with questionable life choices? Buffoon is fine. The scribe nods and continues scratching. You're pretty sure he's not writing words anymore, just making scratchy sounds to seem busy. The bailiff steps forward. He's trying very hard to look official, despite the fact that he's clearly hungover and has his tabard on backwards. He unrolls a scroll with great ceremony, clears his throat, and reads, "Unauthorized entry into castle, tampering with noble beverages, and operating poultry without a license." You raise a finger. It still has a feather stuck to it. The feather waves like a tiny flag of surrender. In my defense, the chickens were volunteers. Laughter ripples quietly through the courtroom. It's the kind of laughter that suggests everyone here has had stranger Tuesdays, but not by much. A woman in the gallery whispers to her neighbor, "I told you the chicken cart was real. You owe me 3 coppers." The judge bangs a small wooden spoon on his desk. Not a gavel, a spoon, a cooking spoon. "Where's the official gavel?" someone asks. "Gregory the carpenter has it," the judge says wearily. "He's using it to make another gavel. It's very meta. I don't want to talk about it." He bangs the spoon again. It makes a disappointing tink sound. "Silence in the court," he mumbles, though no one's really talking. Then he squints at the parchment before him. Without his thick glasses, the squint is powerful enough to curdle milk. "So, you were targeting Sir Gregory the Tall?" You nod. A few feathers drift off with the motion. The scribe tries to catch one, misses. "And you dosed Sir Gregory the tailor?" You nod again. More feathers. "At this rate, you'll be bald by noon." "Well, feather bald. Is that a thing? On purpose?" This is where it gets complicated. Was it on purpose? Was it an accident? Was it the universe playing an elaborate joke? Ish. The judge looks like he wants to bang his spoon again, but realizes it won't help. Nothing helps when dealing with ish. "Ish is not a legal defense," he says. "It's more of a philosophical position you offer. This is a courthouse, not a philosophy debate." Aren't all courthouses philosophy debates? What is truth? What is justice? What is my patience? The judge interrupts. Rapidly diminishing. The judge exhales deeply. It's the exhale of a man who went to law school with dreams of landmark cases and instead spends his days adjudicating chicken-related crimes. From the crowd, movement, shuffling. The crowd parts like they're afraid of contagion. One of the two Gregorys shuffles forward, bleary-eyed but unharmed. He looks exactly like you'd expect someone to look after being accidentally drugged with enough sleeping herbs to tranquilize a horse. His hair stands at angles that defy both gravity and dignity. His clothes suggest he dressed in the dark while possibly still asleep. One shoe is on the wrong foot, but he's smiling. It's fine, he says, his voice still thick with sleep. I've never slept better. Dreamed I was a cloud, a really comfortable cloud, with opinions about tax reform. From behind him, the other Gregory appears. He looks marginally more awake, but equally disheveled. They stand together like before and after pictures where you're not sure which is which. The second Gregory nods in agreement. Best night's rest in years. My back doesn't even hurt anymore. Whatever was in that tea, I want the recipe. It was... You start. Allegedly in the tea, the judge corrects quickly. Allegedly. We don't admit to crimes in open court. But I already. Allegedly. The first Gregory continues. In fact, we talked it over this morning. Afternoon, the second Gregory corrects. We woke up this afternoon. This afternoon, and we've decided to start a book club. The courtroom collectively blinks. A book club? The judge asks, his voice suggesting he's given up on understanding anything. Yes, the Sleepy Gregory's book club. We'll meet monthly, discuss literature, drink tea. Different tea, the second Gregory adds quickly. And enjoy intellectual discourse. You're all invited. First meeting is next Tuesday. We're reading the Canterbury Tales. I suggested The Art of War, the second Gregory says, but apparently that's too aggressive for a book club. They begin bickering about book selections. It's the comfortable bickering of people who've shared a bed, an accidental drugging, and now, apparently, a literary future. The judge rubs his temples. The rubbing intensifies until it looks like he's trying to manually restart his brain. So, no one's pressing charges? He asks hopefully. Charges against our inadvertent benefactor? The first Gregory gasps dramatically. Never. He gave us the gift of sleep, the second adds. Do you know how hard it is to sleep when you're a Gregory? The expectations, the pressure, the constant confusion about which Gregory someone wants. It's exhausting being us, they say in unison. The judge looks at you. You shrug. More feathers fall. One lands on the judge's desk. He stares at it like it might hold answers. It doesn't. He mutters something about retiring early. Then something about taking up farming. Then something that sounds suspiciously like a prayer to any deity that handles early retirement packages. Finally, he waves his spoon. Case dismissed. The anticlimactic tink of spoon on wood somehow makes it official. The courtroom erupts in mild applause. It's the kind of applause that says, we're not sure what we just witnessed, but it was better than most Tuesday morning entertainment. You stand and bow. The bow is a mistake. The remaining feathers, held in place by hope and static electricity, cascade to the floor in a dramatic shower. You're now just a person in a stained cloak, surrounded by evidence of last night's poultry adventure. Gerald swings down on a web, lands on your shoulder, and takes a bow of his own. Show off. As you exit the building, trying to maintain some dignity, despite the feather trail, someone catches up and pats you on the back. It's the woman who won the bet about the chicken cart. She slips you a small bag of coins. For entertainment value, she whispers. That was better than the traveling players last month. They just juggled. You juggled justice itself. You accept it graciously. The coins clink with a satisfying weight. It's not assassin money, but entertainment money spends just as well. Also, she adds, my chickens came home this morning with stories. Well, they're chickens, so they didn't actually tell stories, but they seemed very satisfied with themselves. One of them laid 3 eggs. She usually only manages 1. You're some kind of poultry whisperer. You nod sagely, as if you have any idea what that means. As you walk away, you hear the 2 Gregorys still debating book selections. What about Hamlet? Too depressing. The Odyssey? Too long. How to Tell Gregorys Apart, a practical guide. Does that exist? We could write it. A job is a job, you think, feeling the weight of the coins. You came to assassinate a Gregory. You ended up creating a book club and possibly inventing a new form of alternative medicine. And if chaos is your craft, you are very, very talented. Master Thorn is going to have so many questions. You're going to have so few answers. But you have coins, a story no one will believe, and an invitation to a book club. Plus, Gerald seems happy. He's already started a new web using the courtroom dust. Life as an assassin may not be what you expected, but it's certainly never boring. The sun climbs higher, warming your featherless back. Somewhere, chickens are telling their own version of last night's events. Somewhere else, 2 Gregorys are making reading lists. And you're walking away from a courtroom where you were tried for operating poultry without a license and acquitted because your victims thanked you. Your mother always said you'd make something of yourself. She was right. You're just not entirely sure what that something is yet. But it involves chickens, rubber poultry, and apparently literature. Could be worse. Could be normal. The Drunken Duck Tavern glows like a lantern in the misty evening, which is appropriate since half the patrons glow like lanterns too, though for different reasons involving ale and questionable life choices. Candles flicker behind fogged windows that haven't been cleaned since the last king, or possibly the king before that. The grime has formed its own ecosystem. There might be civilizations in there. Laughter hums beneath the creak of old beams that have heard every joke, every confession, every terrible drinking song that's ever been slurred within these walls. If wood could talk, these beams would ask for stronger drinks. You push open the door. It protests with a squeal that harmonizes nicely with the violin. Someone's murdering in the corner. The warmth greets you instantly. Smoke from the fireplace, steam from what's optimistically called soup, and the unmistakable scent of roasted something you hope is chicken. Given last night's events, you eye the meat suspiciously. It doesn't move. Good sign. The crowd turns as you enter. It's like a scene from every dramatic tavern entrance, except instead of a dangerous stranger, they're looking at someone still shedding feathers like a molting mythological creature. A few people nudge each other. Whispers ripple through the room. That's the one with the chickens. I heard it was geese. I heard it was a phoenix. Don't be daft. Phoenixes aren't real. Neither are self-driving chicken carts. But here we are. Word travels fast in a small town. By tomorrow, you'll probably have ridden a dragon made of ducks. You stroll up to the bar, trying for casual confidence. A feather chooses this moment to detach and float dramatically past your face. So much for dignity. The barkeep, a man who looks like he's been carved from the same wood as his bar, eyes you with the expression of someone who's seen too much to be surprised by anything anymore. Heard you took down 2 noblemen with soup. His voice is gravel that's been marinated in whiskey and disappointment. You consider correcting him. It was tea, not soup, and took down is a strong phrase for made very sleepy. But then again, the truth has never been as interesting as the story. You shrug. Mildly seasoned justice. It doesn't really make sense, but it sounds good. Sometimes that's enough. He chuckles, a sound like rocks tumbling in a leather bag, and pours you a mug of something. You don't ask what. In places like this, ignorance is bliss, and knowledge might be poisonous. The ale, you hope it's ale, tastes like liquid bread that's gone through a rebellious phase. It's perfect. Within moments, you're surrounded. The tavern crowd forms a semicircle like you're about to perform magic, which, given last night's chicken cart miracle, maybe you are. There are locals still dusty from the day's work. Mercenaries with more scars than teeth. Merchants who've already started their evening's transformation from respectable to regrettable. And that same goat from earlier. The goat that might be a sheep. You're still not sure. It's managed to get inside somehow and is eating someone's hat. No one seems to mind. It's that kind of establishment. All waiting for the story. Someone's pushed a chair behind you, the storyteller's throne. It wobbles. Everything here wobbles. Stability is for people who drink at better taverns. You clear your throat. The crowd leans in, and you begin. It was a dark and stormy night. It wasn't storming, someone interrupts. I was on watch. It was dark and slightly drizzly night, you correct. The kind of drizzle that can't decide if it's rain or just ambitious mist. Better. But this time, you embellish. Why let truth get in the way of a good story? The castle walls, you continue, gesturing dramatically, rose before me like walls, someone suggests. Like the very teeth of fate itself. That gets some appreciative nods. Fate having teeth is exactly the kind of metaphor that plays well in taverns. The guards were twice as fast as normal guards. They'd been training in the ancient art of running, the helpful person suggests again. Sprint jitsu, you declare. The forbidden martial art of moving quickly while wearing armor. Gerald peeks out from your hair, probably judging your storytelling choices. You ignore him. Artists are never appreciated by critics who live in their hair. The rooftop, not just any rooftop, but the grand high rooftop of perpetual slipperiness, stretched 3 times higher than any normal building. Each shingle had been individually cursed by monks. Why would monks curse shingles? Asks a skeptical merchant. Evil monks, you clarify. Very evil. The kind that put raisins in cookies and call them chocolate chips. The crowd gasps. That's true evil. You stand now, really getting into it. Your arms sweep wide, accidentally knocking over someone's drink. They don't complain. This is dinner theater. And Bartholomew? You produce the rubber chicken with a flourish. Someone applauds. Flew like a winged shadow through the castle halls. Rubber chickens can't fly, points out a small child who's definitely not supposed to be in a tavern at this hour. Bartholomew isn't just any rubber chicken, you say solemnly. He was blessed by the poultry pope. There's a poultry pope? Oh yes, very prestigious position. Wears a hat made entirely of eggshells. The child nods, satisfied. In a world where you rode a self-propelling chicken cart, a poultry pope seems perfectly reasonable. And when the crucial moment came, you continue, climbing onto the chair for dramatic height. When the Gregorys lay before me, vulnerable and trusting. The chair wobbles dangerously. The crowd holds its breath. I delivered justice. You pause. The tension is tangible. Someone stopped breathing. The goat sheep has stopped eating the hat. With a flawless cartwheel over boiling stew, you attempt to demonstrate. The chair has other ideas. What follows is less flawless cartwheel and more creative falling with style. You land in a heap. Bartholomew squeaks in protest. The crowd erupts. There are gasps, laughter. Someone throws a coin. You catch it. Barely. With your teeth. That wasn't intentional, but you pretend it was. And that, you declare from the floor, is exactly how it happened. More coins rain down. Either they believe you, or they're paying you to stop. Both work. Tell it again, someone shouts. With more chickens this time, another adds. Make the Gregorys twins. They are twins. Make them evil twins. The room grows warmer with each retelling. Each version gets more elaborate. By the third telling, you're fighting gods made of solid gold. By the fourth, the chickens are wearing tiny armor. By the fifth, Bartholomew has a speaking role and a tragic backstory. Mugs clink in toasts to your increasingly ridiculous heroics. Boots tap along to the murdered violin, which has somehow gotten worse. Even the goat seems to smile, though it might just be digesting the hat. The fire crackles its approval. Someone starts a song about the chicken night of destiny. It rhymes poultry with sultry, which doesn't work, but everyone's too drunk to care. Eventually, the crowd disperses to their own conversations and questionable decisions. You find a quiet corner by the fire, the best seat in the house, close enough to be warm, far enough that sparks won't set your remaining feathers ablaze. You lean back in a worn chair that's held more bottoms than a census taker. It creaks a welcome, or a warning. Hard to tell. The firelight flickers across the stone wall, creating shadows that dance like your story brought them to life. One shadow might be a chicken, or a dragon, or a chicken dragon. You're too tired to investigate. Bartholomew peeks from your satchel. His painted eyes reflect the firelight, making him look almost alive, almost proud. He's had a good night. Not many rubber chickens get to be heroes in tavern tales. You pull him out and set him on the table. A few people notice and raise their mugs in salute. To Bartholomew, hero of heroes, survivor of defenestration, navigator of escapes. He squeaks when you pat his head. It sounds like contentment. You sip your drink. It's your third or fifth. Numbers become philosophical after a certain point. The important thing is it's warm and tastes better with each version of your story. The noise fades to a low hum, like bees discussing philosophy. The warmth wraps around you like the world's most alcoholic blanket. You feel your shoulders soften, releasing tension you didn't know you were holding. Your eyes grow heavier. When did you last sleep properly? Before the Gregorys? Before the kitchen adventure? Time blurs together like watercolors in rain. For the first time in days, you're not running, not hiding, not trying to be anything. You're just here, safe in a tavern where the ale is questionable, but the welcome is warm. Surrounded by strangers who now call you legend. Or at least that person with the chicken thing. Close enough. A barmaid refills your mug without asking. On the house, she says. Haven't seen the old man laugh like that in years. She nods toward the barkeep, who's trying very hard to look stern and failing. Happy to help, you mumble into your drink. She leans closer, conspiratorial. Between you and me, the Gregorys come in here every week, drive us mad with their matching everything. Maybe now they'll have something else to talk about besides which one's taller. They're starting a book club, you inform her. She blinks. That's actually perfect. Gives them something to argue about that isn't height or thread count. Gerald emerges from your hair and stretches all 8 legs. Even he looks relaxed. He starts a small web between your mug and Bartholomew, connecting the evening's heroes. The fire pops, sending a small shower of sparks up the chimney. Someone started another song. This one rhymes feather with weather, which makes more sense but is somehow less entertaining. You breathe in the wood smoke, the ale scent, the atmosphere of a place where stories matter more than truth. Breathe out the worry, the chaos, the lingering anxiety about explaining all this to Master Thorn. Tomorrow you'll have to face him. Explain how a simple assassination turned into drugging the wrong people, escaping via chicken, and being acquitted in court by your own victims. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, you're a legend. A feather-covered, chicken-riding, Gregory-drugging legend who delivers justice with questionable herbs and even more questionable methods. Let the fire lull you. Feel the warmth seep into bones still cold from last night's rooftop adventure. There's still more to tell. The crowd's already asking for another round of the story. But for now, it's enough to rest. In the corner, the violin player finally finds a tune that doesn't sound like dying cats. It's almost peaceful. Almost. You close your eyes just for a moment. When you open them again, someone's thrown a blanket over you. Bartholomew has been tucked in beside you. The fire has burned lower, but still glows warmly. The tavern has quieted to late-night murmurs. Someone snoring in the opposite corner. The goat sheep is asleep on what remains of the hat. You pull the blanket higher and settle back. For an assassin, you make a pretty good storyteller. For a storyteller, you make a terrible assassin. But for a person trying to find their place in a world of Gregories and chickens and rubber poultry, you're doing just fine. The fire crackles a lullaby. Your breathing slows to match its rhythm. Tomorrow will bring new chaos. Tonight brings peace. And that's enough. More than enough. It's perfect. Outside the tavern, the village has quieted to that special level of peace that only comes after midnight, when even the troublemakers have given up and gone to bed. The wind hums softly through the cobblestones, playing them like the world's largest, flattest flute. A distant bell chimes once, maybe twice. It's hard to tell. The bell ringer might be drunk. It's been that kind of night. You've slipped out the back door of the drunken duck, leaving behind warmth and stories and at least 3 different versions of yourself, each more heroic than the last. Your cloak wraps around your shoulders like a patient friend who's given up on keeping you out of trouble but still wants you warm. Bread roll in one hand, your 4th from the kitchen stash, but who's counting? Peace in the other. Well, not literally in the other hand. Peace is hard to hold, slippery, like soap made of contentment. The moon hangs above, pale and curious, like it's been watching your adventures and taking notes for the Moon Gazette. Local fool rides chickens, survives, the headline might read. You'd buy that paper. Lanterns flicker low along the empty streets, their light pooling in golden puddles that reflect nothing but possibility. Most are burning their last drops of oil, yawning light into the darkness. Even the flames are tired. You walk slowly, no destination in mind. Just moving because stillness feels strange after all that running. Your feet find their own path, past the bakery, closed, but the smell of tomorrow's bread already seeping through the cracks, past the blacksmith, snoring loud enough to forge dreams, past the spot where you definitely didn't steal a monk's robe. Allegedly. The chickens from earlier rest in their coop behind the market, heads tucked under wings like feathery commas in the sentence of night. Their dreams are probably dramatic, full of heroic escapes and grateful assassins. One hen mutters in her sleep. It sounds like "told you so." You find an old barrel beside the stable and claim it as your throne. It's not comfortable, but it's solid, real. After a night of rubber chickens and self-propelling carts, solid and real, feel revolutionary. You sit, letting your legs dangle, watching the world exhale. The village breathes around you, in and out, in and out. Even the buildings seem to expand and contract slightly, as if they're alive. Maybe they are. In a place where chicken carts drive themselves, architectural respiration seems reasonable. Somewhere a guard yawns mid-patrol. You can hear it echo off the walls. A sound that says, "Why did I take the night shift?" in the universal language of exhaustion. His footsteps fade, probably towards somewhere with a convenient wall to lean against. Guards are practical like that. Somewhere else, a minstrel plucks one final sleepy note on a lute that's seen better decades. It hangs in the air like a musical question mark. What now? it seems to ask. The night doesn't answer. Good nights never do. You take it all in. The ridiculousness of the past 2 days hits you like a gentle slap from a velvet glove. You were trained to be deadly, precise, a weapon in the shadows. Instead, you've accidentally created a literary society. The near failures replay in your mind, but now they're funny. The rope incident, the mustache soup, the great turnip debate of yesterday morning. Was it only yesterday? Time moves strangely when you're failing upward. The perfectly imperfect chaos of your first mission spreads before you like a map of mistakes that somehow led to treasure. You were supposed to be a shadow, silent, feared, forgotten. Instead, you became a stew-stirring, rooftop-squeaking chicken cart legend, the kind of person tavern-goers tell stories about, the kind who gets acquitted because their victims are grateful, the kind who makes friends with poultry and enemies with gravity. And oddly enough, that feels better. Better than being another faceless killer in the night. Better than perfection. Better than whatever Master Thorn's vision of success looks like. Bartholomew rests in your satchel, now slightly sticky with breadcrumbs and glory. He's earned his rest. Not many rubber chickens can claim to have survived defenestration, provided navigation, and become the co-star of increasingly elaborate tavern tales. You pull him out and set him on your knee. His painted eyes catch the moonlight. "We did it, Bartholomew," you whisper. "Whatever it was, we did it." He squeaks softly when you pat his head. Agreement, or maybe just air escaping. With Bartholomew, you've learned not to question. Gerald emerges from your hair, probably wondering why you're talking to rubber poultry at 2 in the morning. He starts a web between your hand and Bartholomew. Even he knows you're a team now. Above, the stars twinkle like they're trying not to laugh. The whole cosmos is in on the joke. You're not sure what the punchline is yet, but you're pretty sure you're it. A cat slinks by, pauses to judge you, then continues on its important cat business. Even it seems amused. You've become entertainment for the entire village, including the wildlife. You close your eyes and just breathe. In, the smell of cooling stone and distant bread. Hold, the memory of chaos transformed into story. Out, the last of your anxiety about being a proper assassin. The wind brushes your cheek like a whispered joke. Heard about the assassin who forgot to assassinate? It seems to say. Turns out he was better at other things. The tavern hums behind you, muffled through walls but still alive with late-night energy. Voices rise and fall like waves. Someone's definitely telling your story again. By now, you're probably fighting dragons made of soup. You shift on your barrel, finding a position that's almost comfortable. Your muscles ache from last night's adventures. Your dignity is bruised but healing. Your stomach is full of bread and questionable ale. Life is good, and somewhere in the night a parchment works loose from your cloak, caught by that joking wind. It flutters like a dying moth before landing in a puddle. Another contract, another name, another Gregory? Please, no more Gregorys. But not now. Now the puddle claims it, ink running like watercolor tears. The name blurs, becomes illegible, becomes nothing. The wind carries away the soggy remains. You don't chase it. Now is for sleep. Well, almost sleep. First, you need to find somewhere better than a barrel. Your back is already filing complaints. There's a hay loft above the stable. The ladder looks sturdy, mostly sturdy, sturdy-ish. You've climbed worse. You stand, joints popping like applause for surviving another day. Bartholomew goes back in the satchel. Gerald retreats to your hair. The team assembled. The ladder is exactly as sturdy as it looks, which is to say, not very. But you make it up with only minimal creaking and just one rung breaking. Progress. The hay is fresh. It smells like summer and safety. You burrow in, creating a nest that would make any chicken proud. You lean back against the wall, cloak pulled tight like armor made of wool and memories, heart a little lighter than when this all started. Through the loft window, you can see the castle in the distance. Somewhere in there, two Gregorys are probably still discussing book selections, their snores creating a literary rhythm. "Good night, Gregorys," you murmur. The town bell chimes again, 3 times, or 5. The bell ringer is definitely drunk. A horse shifts in the stable below, probably dreaming of oats and open fields. Its breathing is deep and rhythmic, hypnotic. You match your breath to the horse's. In and out, in and out. And with one last slow breath in, the smell of hay and peace and distant bread, and out, releasing the last tension from muscles that have carried you through chaos. You smile. It's a small smile, tired but real. Tomorrow can wait. Tomorrow there will be explanations and new contracts and Master Thorn's exasperated face. But tonight, you're a legend resting in hay, with a rubber chicken for a companion and a spider for a friend. You've failed successfully at assassination and succeeded wildly at everything else. Your eyes close fully. Sleep creeps in like fog, soft and inevitable. The last thing you hear is an owl hooting somewhere. It sounds like laughter, or maybe agreement, or possibly just an owl being an owl. But you choose to believe it's saying, "Well done, worst assassin ever, well done." And in the warm darkness of approaching dreams, where chickens drive carts and Gregorys thank their assassins, where kitchen adventures lead to acquittals and rubber poultry provides navigation, you whisper back to the night, "Good night, world. Thanks for being weird." The stars twinkle one last time. Sleep takes you gently, like an old friend who's been waiting patiently. And somewhere in your dreams, Bartholomew learns to fly. Sweet dreams, brave but bumbling assassin. May your sleep be as peaceful as the Gregorys, and may tomorrow's chaos be just as kind.